Hey there, super scientists and basketball buffs. Get ready to dribble into a world of fun with our STEM lab today. We're going to mix up a bit of sports with a dash of science and a sprinkle of engineering. Today's lab will be based on the book Allie's Basketball Dream, written by Barbara Barber. In the story, Allie faces a bunch of challenges on her journey to basketball success. For starters, she's got to practice a lot, even when it's frustrating. That's called perseverance. And she also has to show everyone that basketball isn't just for boys, despite what some of her peers say. Now, you may want to discuss some of these details and other ideas about the book with your facilitator, your peers, or your family at home. But did you know there's a ton of science and math in basketball too? It may feel like just a game, but it's all about understanding the forces and engineering involved. Just think about it. Getting your ball into the hoop depends on lots of different factors or variables, like how far you are from the net and how tall you are, how high you toss the ball, or how strong you throw it. Now, there's also a ton of different forces at play if you're running when you take the shot. And let's not even get started on all of the geometry and angles involved when you're taking a bank shot. The options or variables are endless. But here's the thing. If you had a machine and could fix every variable just right, you should make the shot every single time. Well, almost every time. Even machines aren't perfect. Today, you will become engineers and make a basketball ballistic machine. That's a machine that shoots objects. You will need to design and build a hoop and the machine, set up the court, and then adjust all the variables until your machine is nearly perfect, making almost every basket. But first, we need to learn a little bit about levers and how they work. You may notice in the lever tutorial following, it has nothing to do with basketball. We did that on purpose. That's because we don't want you to feel like you have to copy exactly what we made. A real engineer learns about the concepts, but then uses their own creativity to design and build something. Now let's chat a little bit about levers. A lever is a long stick or a rigid body with a fulcrum somewhere along the length. The fulcrum is the point at which the lever pivots. The load is the thing being lifted. In this picture, the load that's being lifted is the bird. And then there is the force. That's the thing with all the muscles that makes the load move. In this case, the force or the effort is applied by our friend, the lizard. Now let's see a lever in action. You'll notice here that where the fulcrum is placed along the lever has a huge effect on the force's ability to lift a load. Now, I'm not a super strong person, and in my first attempt, the lizard did not really leap. But simply by moving and changing the design of my pivot, well, let's just say I'm happy that that lizard is not real. Watch what happens. Now that you know all about levers, it's time to design, build, test, and optimize your own basketball ballistic machine. Now, be prepared to share your design with your engineer friends and see how others made their machines. Now, if you want to extend the project a bit, here are some fun ideas. Pretend that Allie has a friend Sam that is in a wheelchair but really wants to play basketball. You can write a story about how Allie and the other kids help Sam out. Then you can also design a new machine that Sam can use to pick up the ball from the ground without having to get out of the wheelchair. You can use your cardboard modeling set or other craft materials to design and build your project. Here's a video that might help give you some ideas. For today's lesson, we will learn about linkages.
If you did STEM show number 1 on levers, you actually already know how to make a linkage too. That's because a linkage is just a few levers put together. Just to review a lever is made of a long stick or a rigid body and a fulcrum somewhere along the length. The fulcrum is the point at which the lever pivots. There is also a load, or the thing being lifted, and the force, where the power comes from. Here is one example of a lever made for a polar bear at the zoo. Here, a toy got stuck underneath the polar bear's den, so we made a lever for the polar bears so they could lift the den to get to the toy. In this example, the fulcrum is stuck to the ground. It's called a fixed pivot, but we can also make a moving pivot. Watch how we did it here. As always, before we dive right in and start building, we think about what we're going to do and draw out a sketch on an idea board like this. While a fixed pivot can look a little bit like a seesaw, a moving pivot can look like a pair of scissors. Now, to make a linkage, you really just need to make a contraption with 2 or more levers. It can be a combination of fixed and moving pivots, but as you experiment at home, you might notice that at least one of the levers needs to be a moving pivot. Otherwise, nothing will move. In the next clip, you will see how we designed a machine with 2 moving and 1 fixed pivot to lift the polar bear.
Lastly, how about doing an engineering everyday scavenger hunt at home? Now that you know a little something about engineering and some simple machines, see if you can list out all the activities in a single day that use engineering concepts. Great job, folks. You just blended the worlds of sports and science brilliantly. Remember the skills you practiced today. Creativity, problem solving, and teamwork are what make great engineers and scientists. So keep exploring and keep inventing. Who knows, the next big discovery can come from one of you.